What up, grinders? My name is Jackson, and if you didn't watch last week's video, make sure to go watch that now before you continue on, where I played this mono green deck list at FNM. I went 1 win, 2 losses, and a draw, so make sure to go check out that video, especially if you want to see a couple of the deck ideas that I've been tossing around, and also make sure to go and check out the card pool video and unboxing if you're curious as of what all the contents is inside. Let's get into the pack opening. A little life gain card, some mono blue removal. I don't think we'd really play that. This could be a decent card in mono red. Infestation stage. I think we only have 3, so maybe there's something there. This is another elf, so I think that's helpful if we ever revisit elves or mono green or something along those lines. Witness protection's a pretty decent common removal. Pilfer is hand disruption if we end up playing a black control or mid-rangey deck. So far these commons have been pretty good. This card's kind of mid. This card's pretty mid. Reassembling skeletons could be decent at some point. I don't really know if it's really great though. Heartfire Immolator. That's pretty decent. We have 3 already, so 4th, finishes out our playset if we ever want to play like a Prowess blue-red deck. Genesis Wave. I don't know how good this card will be. Maybe it's good mono green if we have enough mana acceleration. Something to consider. And then bulk up, doubles target creature's power until end of turn. It's only 2 mana, so maybe it'll see play, but wouldn't hold your breath. And another black-white gain lifeland, so that's going to be decent if we end up playing a black-white life gain deck. Inspiring Paladin, Burst Lightning, don't need that. Macabre Waltz, not the worst card, but it's not great. Prowler, Run Away. This card's worth some money, but I don't see us playing it. Micromancer, we already have 2 of those, but there's not really any great 1-mana cards or instants and sorceries for us to search, so I don't see us really playing this. Raider, we have one of these already. Maybe it's decent, I'm not sure. Another Blood Thief. This card seems fine. I don't think it's that good, but maybe we'll come across a deck that'll be good with it. This is some counter magic. With how limited counter magic we have, maybe it's decent. Counters non-creature spells, so could be decent if we do a blue control deck. Exemplar of Light. 4 mana 3/3 flyer. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Whenever you put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on this creature, draw a card, but only triggers once each turn. This seems like a really good reason to play a life gain deck. This card is definitely gonna make me think about trying black-white life gain, especially with the barons we got. Erudite Wizard. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. This could be good for the mono blue deck I was thinking about playing. And Mountain. Alright, not bad, not bad. Pack number 3. Boom. That is huge. That's our 3rd Tolarian Terror. We're 1 away from having a playset. This card is really good. It can end up being a 1-mana 5/5, so with our limited card pool, I think this card might be a house. Squad. This card's not bad. It's removal. 1 mana. Sacrifice something to exile a target creature or planeswalker, or pay 4 extra mana. Could be decent if we play like an aristocrat strategy, or have some dorks sitting around. The second ruby, that seems solid. When we looked at red-green before, it didn't look that great, so I don't know if it's... I don't think we're going to go red-green yet, but in the future, this might be good. A third Brineborn Cutthroat. Along with the Talarian Terror, like, we're getting some good blue cards, and that is kind of what I was looking at playing this week, so it's looking better and better after each pack. Dwynnin Guiltleaf Dane. That is an Elf Lord, so there's a reason to go back to mono green. I think it might be best to let the card pool build up a little bit before we end up going back to mono green, because we only got like 2 new cards for it. So I'd like it to be a little more different than what we played last week. Ashroot Animist, another red-green card. 4 mana 4/4. When this creature attacks another target creature you control, gains trample and gets +X/+X till end of turn, where X is this creature's power, and it has trample. That's a pretty solid body. In a Llanowar Elf deck, you know, playing this on turn 3 would not be bad at all, so something to think about. The red-green deck's getting a little better each pack. The Slumbering Cerberus, kind of mid. And a green-white gain lifeland. Maybe we end up going Abzan life gain or something at some point. Yeah, I'll take it. With the buffs that mono blue got, I think that's what we're gonna go with for now. So I'm gonna get mono green de-sleeved and lay out some mono blue. Alright, I think this is what I'm going to go with this week. It is a total of 37 cards, plus 23 lands. Rogue's Passage wasn't so good to me last week, so I'm thinking if I play it, I'm only going to play 1. Also, I'm playing Tempest Djinn, who really wants islands, so probably gonna end up playing 0, but there's a chance I play 1. Of the new cards that I pulled, An Offer You Can't Refuse and Erudite Wizard were both interesting cards, but I don't think they're quite good enough. An Offer will be good in the sideboard in case my opponents are playing non-creature spells that I really want to counter. Otherwise, if I'm countering like a removal spell on turn 3 or so, it's not going to be that good because they're going to get 2 treasures, so I'm still unsure about this card. We have a few synergies in the deck. I'm hoping we have enough instants and sorceries to make the Talarian Terrors worth playing. We got Shipwreck Drowner to return instants and sorceries. You know, maybe we can recur Time Stop. Just get back any like a counter spell, even an opt or an unsummon will be fine. We have drawing extra card synergies like Mischievous Mystic and Clinquint Mage. I have this card up in here as a creature because while it's an instant, it makes 2 1/1s. And then we have a lot of instants or spells that can be cast on your opponent's turn, so having the 3 Cutthroats will be really good. We've got things like Spectral Sailor that has Flash, Elementalist Adept has Flash. We do have a couple of things that we can only cast on our turn, but we do have a lot of things that we can use on our opponent's turn. So I guess I'm gonna get this sleeved up and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully better than 1-2-1 like last week. And just a couple things I wanted to touch on also. I have Harbinger of the Tides. I can play it as though it has flash as long as I pay an extra 2 mana and it bounces a tapped creature, so I feel like most of the time I'm going to be trying to play it for 4, especially with the cutthroats. Also, these cards are going to be pretty strong finishers. River's Rebuke is a sorcery, but it returns all non-land permanents target player controls to their hand. So, playing this, swinging out, they're going to have to try and rebuild their board, and I'll get another turn of attacking, maybe cast an unsummon or do something and finish it off. And Time Stop, it lets you take an extra turn, but it does so because it ends the turn at instant speed. So on my opponent's upkeep, I can just cast it and it's the same as taking an extra turn, or I can wait until they attack with their creatures and play Time Stop, so it'll keep all their creatures tapped rather than letting them untap them and then time stopping. Or I can, when they put a spell on a stack, play Time Stop, which will more or less counter the spell because the turn will end before it can resolve. So this card's interesting. It'll hopefully win us some games. And yeah, this is gonna be the deck. 37 spells and 23 islands. I think we're gonna avoid the Rogue's Passage this time. Alright, so this is going to be the deck. I'm going to get these sideboard cards sleeved up. Make sure to drop a comment below if you think that I am playing the wrong deck, or if you think, there's a archetype that I'm just totally blundering by not playing. I want to hear what y'all think. I'm not confident that mono blue is going to be the best option, but with how little aggro we saw last week, I think it should be pretty strong, so hopefully we can get a couple wins. I think for this week, I'm going to add a pack to my pool for each win I get. This will kind of slow down how fast the card pool is growing, but that seems like a fair way to go about it rather than a flat 3 packs. So hopefully we can get some wins and earn some packs. Additionally, so it's going to be a pack per win, and if I earn any packs at the tournament somehow, maybe I'll place in the top, or in the last round we do a pack round where if you win you get a pack, so I'll add those prizes on top of every pack per win, so that last round's going to be worth 2 packs for the card pool. Alright, so I gotta track down 23 islands, but this is gonna be the deck I'm playing, so wish me luck, and let's see if we can steal some wins. Alright, so this is round 1 of my standard challenge. We're playing mono blue. The first hand, just no lands, so we obviously send that back, and the second hand's not too bad. We have 2 lands, and we got spells to cast off of it, so keep that of course. I was saying how there's little mono red or like red based decks, so I thought mono blue would be pretty good, and of course round 1 we play against a red deck. They have the turn 2 Emberheart Challenger, which, it's pretty scary, and then they have the Questing Dryad to exile the top 2 cards, dig a little deeper, flip over Monstrous Rage, and turn Inside Out. I try to tap down the Challenger on the next turn, and they just overpower plus Monstrous Rage and turn Inside Out, and that pretty much does it. So we move on to game 2, and these are the cards I boarded out, and this hand is a little bit better. It's got lands, it's got spells, so we keep it. My opponent plays the Pop Hatch Recruit on turn 1, which is pretty scary. I was a little sus about trying to trade with it because he'd probably just pump it up anyways. So I end up just trying to apply pressure and then turn it into a 1-1, take away its abilities, and just keep swinging. I'm able to apply a good amount of pressure, get a lot of bodies into play. They aren't doing very much, fortunately. And they do go for a turn inside out on the Emperor Challenger, try to find something to push game through, but it's not enough. So on to game 3. On to game 3. Opening hand has lands and spells, creatures and interaction. So, or I guess creature. So you go with the keep. I'm able to unsummon the Slick Shot, and then on the way back down, I'm able to hit it with a Flash Freeze to get that out of the way. So we're at least dealing with one of the more problematic creatures. Unfortunately, my opponent does have the Scamp on one also, so he's able to push a good bit of damage in with the Scamp. We counter the Emberheart Challenger and put a body into play. Then chart a course to put a second body into play, but ultimately he's able to swing with the Scamp and pump it up, and that ends up being enough to close the game out. So maybe we should have held up the Into the Royal. Feels like I wasn't winning that game if I did that, but I guess if he just doesn't have any more creatures, maybe that would have been enough. So that's that. On to game 2. Looking back on it, kind of surprised I kept this hand. I mean, I guess it has things to do with my 1 land, but it seems a little risky. But of course, we play against another red deck. I should have known if I wasn't expecting it, there'd be a bunch of it. I end up finding my land drops. I get the Djinn out, and the Djinn's putting in a good amount of work. My opponent tries to kill the Djinn. I'm able to unsummon it and then replay it afterwards. They do have a pretty aggressive start, but fortunately I'm able to hold off a lot of their attacks. And I go for a double block on a Swift Spear, and when they try to Lightning Strike one of my blockers, I'm able to dive down to stop it from getting killed and kill the Swift Spear. And I'm able to just push in enough damage with this Djinn before they can kill me while I'm at 3 life. On to the next game. This opening hand is at least 2 lands this time, and we do have the Cutthroat, so it's quite a bit better. I end up keeping. They do have a lot of 1-drops, but fortunately I'm able to use the Unsummon to keep the tempo off a little bit and blow out their Monstrous Rage. The Cutthroat does a lot of work. I'm able to, use my bounce spells to kind of tempo what they're doing, and then with the Cutthroat growing, I'm able to blow out a lot of their attacks and, just apply pressure as well while kind of stopping what they're doing. Alright, so round 3. Keep a decent hand. Looks like my opponent's on Domain, and they open up a Beans on 2, which is probably one of the worst possible things my opponent could have. I am able to Essence Scatter the Overlord to kind of, keep them off of what they're doing. They try to go for a kill on my 2-1, and I'm able to dive down so I can keep up the pressure. And eventually they do get a Leyline Binding off to take out one of my creatures, but I'm just able to push so much damage through that it's pretty problematic for them. They eventually do play the Zur out, but I'm able to bounce the Overlord that they try and turn into a creature. And then on the following turn, I just make the Zur into a 1-1 and have it lose all of its abilities. By doing so, they're kind of just stranded, and even after they play their Overlord to draw some extra cards again, they end up conceding. I only sideboarded 2 cards in this game. Nothing seemed that great. Game 2, my hand seems really good. We got 1-drop into 2-drop. We got Counterspell. Unfortunately, though, they do have Beans on 2 into Beans on 3. So that's a little sketch. And then they go for the board wipe. Fortunately, I do have that Counterspell to keep them away. And aggressively using my counter spells, and I flash in the Voracious Great Shark to try and push in enough damage for game, and thankfully it is enough. On to round 4, the final round of the tournament. I'm not sure if I should have kept this hand. It's fine. I'm not sure exactly what I'm playing against, but it is removal. My second hand is also fine. It's a little slow though, and of course it's red deck number 3, and my opponent opens up with a 1-drop on turn 1, and I am able to, put a good amount of creatures into play. I have the Djinn out, but they are playing the burn version, so the board is a little less important against them. They play this card that I'd never seen before. It's pretty solid. It's like a lightning strike on one side and then gives all your spells lifelink. And they're able to chip in for exactly 7 damage to finish me off. Going to the sideboard, I just sideboarded the same way against all the red decks. I'm not sure if it's correct, but it's probably good enough. In game 2, my hand's a little slow, but it has interaction. I'm able to counter one of the percussionists, but they have their third one, so they're pretty aggressive. I do get the Djinn down, but they fire off 2 deal 2s to kill it. Game starts looking a little sketchy. I am able to hold up a Harbinger. They do the exile 2 cards, pretty much draw 2. I'm able to Harbinger to bounce one of the percussionists and then block the other one. They are able to find a good number of burn spells off of that, so the game is pretty close. Fortunately, I'm able to use a Great Shark to counter, and then I get to block the percussionist because they just want to exile to get a little deeper. They do go for another exile the top 2, and in response I'm able to opt, and I actually find the flash freeze off the top to counter it, to kind of slow down their draw power. I get some Spectral Sailors going. I'm able to start, churning through my deck and putting a good amount of pressure on my opponent, and that ends up being enough. They go for the Helix, but it's not enough to keep them alive. On to game 3. I get pretty excited. I have the Diamond Mare in my opening hand, which I figured would be pretty good, so I slam that on turn 2. My opponent has to read it. It's been a while since that card's been in Standard. Unfortunately, they're able to destroy it as soon as I put it into play. I end up playing a Basilisk Caller and Fogbank. I just have a feeling, Screaming Nemesis is coming, and I was correct, so they play that, and I figured I'd be able to block with the Fogbank. But they end up shocking their own Screaming Nemesis, that way I can no longer gain life, so it makes the Basilisk Caller kind of useless. And then they end up firing off an Abrade to kill the Fogbank. I do get to bounce the Screaming Nemesis at a good time, so that way it kind of chokes their mana, and they're kind of forced to just fire off the Boros Charm to deal 4, and then play the exiled creature as a creature, rather than getting to adventure with it. With the creature in play, it gives all of the burn spells lifelink, so they're able to double Helix me and gain a lot of life, so it pushes the game on for a bit. I do get to counter the Screaming Nemesis once he tries to play it, and at that point they're pretty behind, but I'm at 4 life, so at any point if they could just find the Boros Charm, I'm dead. And they get 1 draw step left. They draw, and it, I assume, isn't the Boros Charm, because they didn't just cast it immediately. I'm able to attack and finish the game off. That ends the tournament, leaving us at 3-1, which means I'll be adding 3 packs for my wins and then 1 additional pack for the win on the pack round. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm amazed that we ended up getting, 3 wins. That's 1 off from the tournament wins. So hey, maybe next week.